Hello there, this is Underwear Guy, and I'm taking a look at something a little bit different today, which is the Extreme Lace Brief from Undergear. You can see this is a new item from their latest catalog, which is what I've featured here. And it's part of a larger collection that includes a t-shirt, a square cut, a thong, and of course the brief, which is what's featured in that photo. This retails for $20 and it's an exclusive to Undergear. The Extreme Collection is their in-house brand. You can't buy it anywhere else than on undergear.com. In case you've never ordered from them before, they're very reliable. They have a huge selection of underwear and they carry a whole range of other brands as well as their own. This is the latest fall catalog. In case you're wondering, your items usually come in a mailer like this, which is kind of a oversized plastic shipping bag, and their mailing is usually kind of slow unless you go with the rapid option. If you go with their standard mailing, my experience has been it can take up to 2 weeks, which I don't think a lot of us are used to in today's world, where you usually get stuff within a week or so. It's just something to keep in mind. The rapid shipping option definitely costs more, but if you're interested in it, it's worth it to get something shipped to you faster if you have a hard time being patient, which is often my case. The underwear from Undergear is usually packaged in just simple plastic bags with a seal on the back and just a simple barcode with the title of what it is. So definitely nothing fancy on the packaging. That's pretty typical for Undergear items. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this just to get it out of the way, as well as get rid of the catalog for now. You'll see that there's very little information relevant on the packaging, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this as well. There's only one color available, which is black, and let me unfold this. I have actually taken this out and tried it on, so it's not the first time. So the nice thing on this brief is the fabric tag, which is woven, and let me give you a closer look. It's actually very high quality. It's nicely stitched down to the back, and it has all the relevant information for wash and care, as well as the fabric itself, which is 92% nylon and 8% spandex. I got this in my normal size medium, and you'll notice the 8% spandex. I obviously know something about fabric blends, and usually you always want, whenever possible, something with some spandex in order to get a nicer fit. But the unusual thing is that there seems to be a really unusual way that fabrics can be woven to result in, even with spandex, less or more stretch. And this particular fabric has almost no stretch on the horizontal. It has a fairly good amount of stretch on the vertical, but that really surprised me given the 8% spandex. So it just goes to show you that just because it has spandex in the blend, because of the way that it can be woven and manufactured, a fabric may not actually stretch very much in one direction or another. You can see that this is definitely a see-through lace. This is pretty unconventional for men's underwear. Lace is definitely a trend you've seen more of, though. It used to be in the past you wouldn't be able to buy any kind of item for men made out of this kind of fabric, and now I can easily point out probably 20 or 30 different lines of underwear designed for men made out of these more unusual fabrics. And it's definitely not for everyone, but it is kind of interesting if you want to try something a little different. On the fit and the structure of this brief, I have to say it really has a lot of problems, and I'm just going to be pretty upfront and honest. I really didn't feel like I got my money's worth out of this brief. For $20, which is a little bit up there for an underwear item, you generally would consider that in the premium range. The fit was really lacking. The cut is really high rise for something that I think should be a lower cut. The vertical coverage in both the back and front just felt really awkward, and it looks not nearly as appealing as you would see in the catalog, in my opinion. The lack of stretch, especially on this dimension on the horizontal, means that unless you have a really specific and perfect physique, the back is actually going to have a little bit of a sag in it. And that's really unappealing, especially for something like this, which is sort of a see-through, and it's meant to be, I think, more of a erotic wear item. It just doesn't look very good to have an ill fit in the back or the front. The sides are just a very simple elastic that does have a decent amount of stretch. So luckily it's not too tight, but it really doesn't fit well. And in either way, even on the back or the front, I felt, again, it just felt like it was rising too high in the front. The pouch is very extreme. That's definitely one of the hallmarks of this particular design. You can see there's a really high amount of fabric and vertical span on this particular cut. And I know that could work for some guys, but I think considering this was supposed to be a medium and it just felt like it was more like a large, but at the same time, I think if I ordered a small, it would have been too tight. So I just chalk it up to really not the best design. The pattern is not cut well, and it just doesn't feel like it's a premium underwear. The sides are just a simple folded over edge. I actually feel like some other kind of treatment of how this was handled might have felt a little nicer. It just doesn't quite look finished to me on these edges here. That might be more personal preference, but I think there's just something about doing a little more design, maybe some accents, something to kind of set this off. I don't know, maybe a silver tag or some other element to make it more interesting. But really where it comes down is that the fit doesn't work. So I think personally, as much as I love a lot of Undergear items, I would avoid this particular line in general. It just doesn't seem to work out very well. I actually did buy the t-shirt as well, and that fit really badly too. I couldn't even really get it on because it was too tight, even though a medium would almost always fit me. So there you have an odd sizing where the t-shirt's too tight, the brief's kind of a little too loose. Just overall, it was a unfortunate waste of money. So I think I'm recommending you save your money and look somewhere else if you're interested in kind of an erotic wear item like this, and don't order it from Undergear. Maybe some other time I'll be able to point out something that works better, but let me know what you think. I know most of you, this probably is something you'd never order anyway, but if you're looking for kind of going on the wild side and on the edge, definitely try a different line from a different manufacturer, because I don't want your first experience to be one that's this bad. All right. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.